All right, let's do this. I don't know if this is gonna work, but we'll see. I didn't think I was gonna do another comic book related thing so soon, but yeah. If you don't know, recently, and by recently I mean this morning. I'm doing it the night of, but hold on. There was a scene released, not a trailer, a scene. The Batman. There was a deleted scene with a certain character. This, by the way, this is heavy, heavy spoilers. Okay, so if you're someone that didn't see the movie, please click off. But again, maybe I don't need to say this because maybe I won't be able to put this up. Because normally with trailers, it's completely fine. Deleted scenes, I think this should be fine. I think it should be fine. It's a deleted scene. I'm just reacting to the deleted scene. So I saw an opportunity. I want to jump on it. I was like, I should make a reaction to this. 5 minutes long. I don't know why it's so long. Why is it 5 minutes long? I thought the scene was going to be like a minute. I saw 5 minutes and I was like, I didn't think I was going to record today, but now I am. So here we are. If you've already left with the Batman thing, great. If you haven't, please leave because right now I'm about to say something that I'm just about to like. I'm about to open the jar. All right, so leave if you haven't seen the movie. It's the Joker scene. It's they talked about it. Matt Reeves said there was a scene where Batman and the Joker get to talk to each other and we get to see what he looks like. I kind of see a rough thing in the thumbnail as to what he looks like. He looks interesting. Before we go into it, I just want to say I don't know if this is I didn't talk about it enough in the review. If you haven't seen that, go watch it. But I didn't talk about the Joker too much. I thought about it afterwards. I don't know if this is the Joker or if this is him kind of recouping to be the Joker because of something that happened. But apparently, some people theorize. I don't know if this is something Matt Reeves. No, he didn't say. But some people theorize this is like they've already met and that Batman already put him into Arkham. And I don't know. We'll talk about it. It's 5 minutes. I don't know why it's 5 minutes. I'll chop it up if it's not the whole scene. That's what I'm thinking. I think maybe it's not the whole scene is 5 minutes. Maybe there's some parts in there. I'll see what I'll do in the editing process. But yeah, that's enough stalling. I'm really anxious, bro. I love the movie. Oh man, I can't wait for this. Okay, three, two, one, go. Ha ha. What's that? Wait. Oh, is this before he sees Riddler? Bro, the back of his head is all shaved up. Why is it like that?
Present.
What is it?
Almost our anniversary, isn't it? There's a serial killer.
Almost.
I want your perspective.
What the hell?
First anniversary and paper. What makes you think I come so cheap? I thought you'd be curious.
What is it?
I think I could offer this stuff. Don't you? You have pictures.
What is happening? Bro. This is the Riddler stuff.
It's violence. It's so gross.
His hands are so fucked up.
He makes little puzzles, doesn't he? So meticulous. Like
Damn, look at his hands.
His whole life. I know.
His head, too.
Oh. Oh, is he? He's a nobody. Wants to be somebody. The mayor, the commissioner. He's got ambition.
You think his motive is political?
Oh, no. This is very, very personal. He feels these people have all
So
lost.
interesting.
Probably goes way back.
He's like,
Unhealed
he's
wound.
really like,
No one wants money.
Why is he writing to me?
Maybe.
he's talking to him. Like he's trying to, he's listening to the Joker.
Or maybe he's got a grudge against you, too.
This is so
Maybe
weird.
you're the main course. Any theories?
Not yet.
Really? You're normally so ahead of the curve. But something is different this time. This is very upsetting to you.
Let's get back to him.
Why?
Bro,
You're so much more
look at his look.
To talk about me.
What are you here to talk about?
I want to know how he thinks.
You know exactly how he thinks.
Bro, look at it. Look at like, bro, look at Robert's face. Bro, that's the most Batman face he's made. He's pissed, dude, when he's looking at him.
So he's even more righteous. Oh, you afraid he makes you look soft?
You're wasting my time.
Okay. I'll tell you what I really think. I think you don't really care about his motives, whether he loves or hates you. I think somewhere deep down, you're just terrified. Because you're not sure he's wrong, huh? You think they deserved it, huh? You think they deserved it.
Crazy. That's nuts. Bro, I think the creepiest part about him was his look. Bro, his hands are like, I don't know what happened. I mean, is it the acid? Are we going with acid this time? Like what's the game plan here? Like what how did we get from A to B? You know, like how did we get here? You know what's the most interesting part? I said like he looks at him differently. I didn't see this version of Batman with that face on the entire movie. Like that face, when he's bro, he's not liking how he's examining him. You know, but like at the same time, I feel like this is so interesting because we've never had this, have we? We've never had like the Joker and Batman know each other long enough. You know what I mean? Like in a live action film. Like we've never had them actually. Obviously with The Dark Knight there's constraints because the passing of Heath Ledger, you can't really have him in the third film. So there's that limitation, but man, like they've had what, maybe he says it's their anniversary, so at least they've known each other for a year. But I feel like it speaks volumes that he's going to him about the Riddler. Like there's no other serial killer. Like he said, you know, he's like, you're a serial killer. It's like, oh, you think I get off on this kind of stuff? Like he's like I've never seen them talk back and forth so much. You know what I mean? In live action. Like I feel like with Tim Burton's one, it's like it was very two dichotomies kind of thing. With Christopher Nolan's, I'll be honest, it felt like the Joker was like just so in control. With this, I feel like it's too. It really feels like a detective interviewing a psychopath. You know what I mean? Like not interviewing, but like like not really. It's not interrogation because he's just trying to see like is because this is his mo. You know what I mean? This is what he does. The Joker's the. And that's why I said it speaks volumes that he goes to him because from what I'm gathering, I mean it makes sense. He's like you're the most psychotic sicko I know. Like you're the worst damaged. This kind of seems like the type of person. The only other person that was close to this guy that I've ever met is you. Wow, that's so crazy. In the side of his head, I thought it was shaven, but if you look at it, it's all scarred. Like there's burns, maybe. I don't know. His hair is green, but it's patchy. His face is wrecked. Like his jaw, his mouth is done. But yeah, like I wonder. I you know I guess it makes sense it's deleted because it's a good scene. It's a really good scene. I feel like if you put it in the movie, it wouldn't have been terrible. It wouldn't have been a terrible idea, but it might have been a bad idea. It might have been a pretty bad idea just because if you put it in the movie, I know which part of the movie it probably would have been in. It would have been right before because that's like that's probably around the Alfred situation. Like he's trying to like figure out more about the Riddler. So this might have been, again, I'm going to just talk about spoilers, but they already left. But this might have been right after the funeral explosion thing. This might have been right after that because there's like question marks and stuff. I feel like those pictures were from there, maybe, but it's at least like maybe 50% of the film is done by that point where he's interviewing. My point is, it's not like at the very end, which, yeah, it would have just taken you out because you would have been like, wait, that's him, and you the entire time you'd be thinking like, whoa, why is the movie about him? Like, I want to see him because obviously the Joker just takes it. But you know what? I like this a lot because I think this this is using the Joker in a different way. Like you're using him in a it's too soon to say clever, but you're using him in a different way. Like he is the most psychotic person in Gotham. That's in Arkham, and he's an accessible way of just kind of showing like, okay, we don't know how what he did and like how Batman got a hold of him and like put him into the jail, into Arkham, into the prison, but the conversation they're having, it's like there's no one that maybe gets under his skin the way this guy does. Because I think all the Jokers get under Batman's skin. Like each Batman has like the person that gets under the skin usually is the Joker, right? But this one is different because I feel like the fact that it kind of feels like to me like a lot of other shows I've seen where like the villain is prisoned, but they're not like it's that trope where like they're in prison and they're like, okay, yeah, you have me, but then they're still doing like the talking, not in like the Dark Knight kind of way where he's doing the clapping, like congratulations, you got me, but like you don't, I'm gonna escape at some point. It's just with this one, he's so fixated on Batman and like just talking to him. I feel like it's less like anarchist, more like I'm in your head, which not like that the Dark Knight didn't have that. Like Ledger had that maybe. I don't think he explored like Bruce that way. I feel like he looked at Batman like the you complete me stuff and everything. I think he was trying to bond with him, but it wasn't the same way of like, that poking questions at him and like what he's doing here. I think this scene personally fills out the universe a little bit more. Like it makes me feel a lot more comfortable with this, like with the movie and like the universe building. Because I said in the review, Gotham, the setting feels alive. Like it feels like a place. You know what I mean? They did a really good job. Maybe because it was 3 hours long, but I generally felt like it was like I had a whole setting that I understood and I wanted to explore and learn more. this helps it even more because I feel like it makes Arkham that much more interesting because I'm like, oh, Joker's there. Maybe he's gonna maybe he's gonna interrogate Joker again, or maybe he's gonna go talk to him again. Like it's a different feeling about the character that I've never felt before in a live action movie. Like I've never felt that way about like, oh, like usually whenever the Joker's in prison Arkham, I'm like, it's always a snippet, and I'm like, oh, there he is. Not like I wonder what he's gonna say to him this time. You know what I mean? Like kind of like how in the Arkham games you'll like go to the imprisoned, you know, villains you took out, and they'll have like their little like quotes and stuff that they'll say, and it just kind of it's interesting. You get a little bit like a deep dive of the character. This is kind of the same thing. Like for me, I feel like, but this is a movie system, which is so interesting. Like I said, there's not enough. It's too soon to tell like whether or not this is a how to have a take on this. I think aesthetically, that's the main thing. Is like I got a good look of him. Aesthetically, he's different. He's different. That's for sure. Obviously, but do I like him more or less? Uh, I don't know. I need to know. Like I feel like with this the wrong character to say this, but I kind of need to know the context. I'm never gonna learn the context because that's not really usually what you get with this guy. But I feel like Heath Ledger's was, oh, you want to know how I got these scars? And it's like, how did he get these scars? He says all these kinds of stories, and they're not actually adding up to like the same story. And you're like, oh, maybe he's just lying. With this one, it's so apparent that he's damaged. I'm like, what happened to you? Like I'm concerned in a way of like, did this happen because of Batman, or is this because of something else? Because I think easily this is the most damaged Joker I've ever seen because his body is just wrecked. So it makes me curious more than I've ever been curious about before. Because I mean, I gotten used to like not caring about the origin because that's not the point of the character. But now I look at him, I'm like, there's a story here, and I want to figure out what it is. What is this? Like, what? Why are you like this? I don't know. That's really cool. But like I said, I do I like it more or less? Does I think it fits more than anything, and that's the most important thing. I like a Joker that I think fits. When I saw him in the theaters, I didn't really get a good look at him, so I didn't get a feel for him. But now seeing him, I think he fits. I think he fits, and I think he adds a weird dimension, and it's gonna make me a little anxious going into the next movie because I think knowing that he exists and what he does to Batman and how he talks to him, or at least this version of him, it makes me kind of worry because I'm like, I think he's in his head a lot more because Riddler was meant to be the guy that was in his head. And sometimes he was in the movie. But I think Falcone was the guy that was mostly in his head more than anyone else. But that's because of the family history. I think in terms of criminals, like actual super villains, I think this guy is the one that's in his head the most. Not just because he's the Joker, but because like I said, I have not seen this version of Batman so heated looking at him. Like there's obviously the anger, like he beat criminals half to death, like he beat them to a pulp. But with this guy, like he's in prison, but he's still looking at him with just rage. He's like, I came here for information, and for some reason, I feel dumber than how I started. He's like, I feel like you've made a joke of me by coming here. He's like it's so, like I feel like it's like I panic for him. I'm like, you need to leave. You need to leave now because I feel like he's getting in your head more and more, and he is leaving, but he still gets him to stop. It's like, you know what? I think he worries you because you're thinking that maybe his victims did kind of deserve it. Isn't that kind of funny? It's freaky. Oh, it's so freaky. It's a different kind of chaos. You know what I mean? It's an instigator kind of chaos, like the kind of like that's like, it's like, I know what you're trying to do. I know what you're trying to do, and it's the kind of character that like we've all had sometimes, maybe once in our life, where we're like, why do I keep talking to you? Like, why am I still talking? You're making this worse for me. You're making more negative emotions fuel up. Like that's what I felt like I was watching there for 5 minutes. I'm just seeing like, okay, trying to figure out something like maybe there's a correlation. He's like, I know him, and he's he's making things up. Like he's just trying to like keep him there. He's just trying to like I felt like in a weird way that scene he was the guy that was trapped. Like I felt like he couldn't leave for some reason, and then he's just still talking. I'm like, wait, this isn't about the Riddler anymore. But it is. It's like you're still using the Riddler, but you're using it as an excuse to still dig into Batman's head. I'm like, this is dangerous. This is dangerous. Because imagine if this guy leaves. You know what I mean? If this guy leaves, bro, then he can make this kind of stuff. He can put Batman in these scenarios. He can have actual citizens, innocent people as his victims to try and get Batman into these situations. You know what I mean? And it also kind of makes me wonder, does he even want to leave Arkham? Does he even want to leave Arkham? Because if you think about it, he already kind of proved that he doesn't need to leave Arkham to see Batman. Batman comes to him, and I'm like, there's something there. Like, he's done something to him. He's playing psychological battles with this guy. Anyways, I mean, again, my thoughts, I've said everything that's come to my head. I didn't think I was going to be so... I didn't know what to expect, but I think the main thing to take from this is that I genuinely feel like he's a part of Gotham more than any other of the super, like all the supervillains felt like they were a face of Gotham. I feel like this guy is like that underbelly that for some reason like we just didn't see. Like this is the guy that we just didn't see. Like it was like, hey, Gotham's just as like this guy makes Gotham that much more twisted. Like it's like you didn't see this part. We didn't show this part because it would have been distracting, but just FYI. And I think this is smart. This is smart to do it like this. FYI, there is a really dark side of Gotham that, like, low-key, you should be scared about Batman for a second. You should be scared for Batman for a second because there is something in the shadows that exists in Gotham. Like, at the end, when Catwoman said you should leave Gotham because it's going to destroy you, I was like, yeah, I mean, because he keeps trying to save people. Like, no. Now seeing this, I'm like, oh, no, he needs to leave. He needs to go because if he doesn't leave, this guy on his own, what that 5-minute conversation did to him, I'm like, this guy's gonna destroy you. Imagine 10 years. Imagine 5 years, just 5 years of doing this with this guy around. Like, honestly, that would break him. It would break him because that was just a conversation. He's in prison. That's nuts. Wow, that's crazy. In terms of the acting, I think it's great. Like I said, it's not, you gotta wait a while. I also like the fact that like it's not like a very it's not like over exaggerated, like he's laughing maniacally all the time. It's like a very like it does kind of feel like to me Telltale Joker kind of vibe, like a Telltale Joker kind of thing. Just like a very like it's still a normal like he has coherent conversation with a person, but it's just what's up here that kind of makes you go like, but this one's different. You know what I mean? Like this one it's how he digs into his head, like Batman's head, and others, because in the Riddler situation, wow, that makes that scene have so much more different context. Like he spoke in riddles to get to his head. This guy's dangerous. And I like it. I like how dangerous he is because I think he knows exactly who he's talking to and how to get in their mind. And I think the one person he's most interested in is Batman, obviously, because he's the Joker. But that makes the Riddler scene make more sense and make it even scarier that he started with riddles. He's like, I heard about you and I know how to talk to you. Like he only said about like 2 sentences and he already made a friend like that. That's nuts. And he said like, oh, maybe like 2 paragraphs and he got Batman furious, like wanting to leave. I'm like, you have way too much control over people. Which also makes me think that it would make sense for this guy to have a Harley Quinn, but I don't want to push any ideas. I just feel like if there's any Joker that would make sense, because the whole theme with that is that he manipulates a psychiatrist. I feel like this guy, especially if he's staying in Arkham as long as he is, I don't know. That's a different conversation, obviously for the future. But this was amazing. I loved it. I don't know. Comment down below what your thoughts were. I thought this was fun. Like the more I'm talking about it, sorry if this was longer than it needs to be. I know it doesn't need to be like 20, almost half an hour. Like it's like why is it half an hour discussion? Like I just want this to settle in because I feel like first impressions, I was like, I need to deep dive this and let it settle. Like the first 5 minutes after I saw it, I'm letting it settle, and then my comments are really starting to spew out. So now at this point, I'm like pretty conscious as to how I feel about this, which is getting me more excited. I'm definitely gonna rewatch this maybe a few times and kind of like take in some keynotes and yeah. Oh man, this was great. This was great. But again, tell me what your thoughts were. Are you excited for this version of the Joker? Maybe seeing him in a future film, maybe not. I don't know. They said they might do some TV stuff with him, like HBO Max stuff, maybe not movies, because Matt Reeves says he doesn't really know where he's going to put him. Personally, I don't want to see him in the movies as the main villain, but I do think if they do this whole Arkham thing, I would like to actually see him in the movies, since I think this is a smart way of doing it, of like introducing him like, hey, he exists, but he might not be the main guy, but we can put scenes in him and hopefully not take away too much from whoever the main villain is of the next movie. Anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to light up that like button, smash up the sub button, give that bell your best. You know how that goes. Next time's next vid. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Take care, peace, and goodbye.